Parliamentary sovereignty. According to A.V. Dicey 1885, sovereignty, that is, ultimate power, lies with Parliament. Dicey outlined the main features of parliamentary sovereignty as 1. Parliament can make any law it wishes, omnicompetence. 2. Parliament cannot bind future parliaments. 3. The courts must apply the laws made by Parliament. 4. Laws made by Parliament override all other forms of law. Parliament is omnicompetent, meaning it is all-powerful and has the authority to legislate on any matter. This can be seen in its ability to make laws which affect the monarch. For example, the Act of Settlement 1700, which prevented the children of King James II from succeeding the throne. Furthermore, the Crown Act 2013 changed the law on succession to the crown so that females had the right to become queen if they were born first. Parliament can also change its own powers. This was seen in the Parliament Acts of 1911 and 1949, which allowed the House of Commons to introduce laws without the approval of the House of Lords. Parliament can even pass laws that are incompatible with the European Convention on Human Rights. The minister responsible for introducing a bill must make a declaration as to whether, in their opinion, the bill is compatible with convention rights. If they believe it is compatible, the declaration is made under Section 19(1)(a) of the Human Rights Act 1998. If they believe it is incompatible, the declaration is made under Section 19(1)(b). A declaration of incompatibility will not prevent the bill becoming law. The first declaration under Section 19(1)(b) was made in the Communications Data Bill 2012 in relation to a proposed ban on political advertising. The bill never became law as it did not have the support of the Liberal Democrat members of the coalition. Each new parliament must be free to introduce or repeal whatever law it wishes. The only constraint is MPs need to appease the public if they wish to be re-elected. The courts have to apply the laws made by Parliament. This applies even if the law infringes the European Convention on Human Rights 1998. The courts can make a declaration of incompatibility, but they must still apply the statute. This was seen in H.V. Mental Health Review Tribunal, 2001, where the Mental Health Act 1983 placed the burden of proof on the patient. There is no power to challenge the validity of an act where the correct procedures have been followed. In British Railways Board v Picken, 1974, Mr. Picken was deprived of his land under the British Railways Act 1968. He argued that British Railways Board had concealed matters from Parliament during the progress of the bill, which amounted to fraud, and that the act should therefore be struck down. The court held that they had no jurisdiction to invalidate an act of Parliament. Statute law is the highest form of English law. It is binding and will prevail over case law, regulations, bylaws, and the European Convention on Human Rights. Constraints on parliamentary sovereignty include political sovereignty and popular sovereignty. Political sovereignty refers to where power actually lies. In many ways, in reality, sovereignty lies with the government rather than with Parliament. The government will set the legislative agenda and is responsible for introducing public bills in Parliament. Due to the fact that the government has a majority in the Commons, there is little opposition to such bills in the Commons. Under the Salisbury Convention, the House of Lords will not vote against a bill that was in the government's manifesto. Popular sovereignty refers to where power lies with the people. There is strong popular sovereignty in the UK, as can be seen in the Brexit referendum. Despite the fact there was no need to hold a referendum and that referendums are not legally binding under the UK Constitution. Both Theresa May and Boris Johnson committed to action the will of the people. The EU Withdrawal Bill 2017 was passed by Parliament despite the fact that the majority of MPs and Lords did not agree with it. UK membership of the EU had a number of impacts on parliamentary sovereignty. The EU could issue directives which dictated what laws Parliament had to introduce, which interfered with their freedom to introduce any law it wishes. A failure to implement a directive could have resulted in court action. For example, the case of re-tachographs, the Commission v UK 1979, where the UK Parliament failed to introduce law relating to tachographs. EU law ranked above UK statute law. This was seen in the controversial Factortame case in 1991 involving Spanish fishermen exercising their rights of freedom of establishment under EU law. This enabled them to take advantage of the British fishing quota. Where there was a conflict with EU law, the courts had to apply EU law and not the UK statute. The UK is no longer a member of the EU and therefore Parliament has taken back sovereignty. Westminster Parliament has devolved powers to the Scottish Parliament, Welsh Assembly and the Northern Ireland Assembly. Devolution has resulted in quasi-federalism, whereby some powers have been retained by Westminster and other matters have been devolved. This gives them the power to make certain laws without Westminster's approval. For example, Scotland reduced the voting age to 16 in 2015 and abolished tuition fees for university students in 2008. Ultimately, Parliament has sovereignty. Parliament can block proposed legislation. The Salisbury Convention is not written in the Constitution and can be departed from without legal effect. Parliament can dismiss the government by passing a vote of no confidence, as was seen in 1979 when James Callaghan's Labour government was removed prematurely from office after a vote was called by Thatcher. R. Miller, the Secretary of State for exiting the EU 2016, demonstrated that Theresa May could not trigger Article 50 without the approval of Parliament. It can remove powers from the Scottish Parliament and Welsh and Northern Ireland assemblies. It has reserved powers which can only be exercised by Westminster. Parliament may withdraw any powers that have been delegated to government ministers or local authorities. In summary, parliamentary sovereignty relates to Parliament having ultimate power. Whilst there are some constraints and limitations on Parliament's power, Parliament still retains ultimate power. Citizens' rights are therefore at the mercy of Parliament and the courts are powerless to uphold individuals' rights against Parliament. This video is part of a series of videos on law from www.e-lawresources.co.uk. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel www.youtube.com/@e-lawresources. It's free to do so and will help us to keep providing these videos. Check out our website, which provides lecture outlines and case summaries. See also www.elawrevision.org.uk for revision games and quizzes. Thanks for watching.